Please tell me who doesn't love ice cream. This is a recipe you need to add to your repertoire, an absolutely delicious milk chocolate ice cream. Okay, I'll be upfront, you cannot make chocolate ice cream or any ice cream for that matter without something to churn it in. I'm using a bowl that attaches to my stand mixer, which freezes, and then it churns it. You can get a relatively cheap ice cream maker, but you do need it to produce ice cream. So just before you start, and we don't get to that point, you realize you haven't got one. We make a custard base for ice cream. So to do that, it's quite easy. I'm going to combine milk, cream. Now that I've got the liquids in there, we're going to warm these up and bring them to a boil. But before I start that, I'm going to combine the egg yolks, honey, and sugar together. I've got the egg yolks here. So egg yolks are an emulsifier and they also have a lot of fat in them. So it's a great combination when we're creating ice cream. We're going to add in some sugar. Now sugar doesn't freeze. So if you add too much sugar in an ice cream or if your recipe's not balanced, it won't actually freeze in the freezer. It'll stay soft. But we actually use this to our advantage. So I'm going to add a little bit of sugar in there. I'm also going to add in a little bit of honey, because if I add enough sugar, I'm going to get a beautiful consistency when the ice cream is frozen for scooping, because the sugar doesn't freeze. So this is balanced for you perfectly, particularly with chocolate ice creams, because the chocolate I'm using has a fat in it called cocoa butter, which goes really quite hard and rigid in the freezer. So I'm offsetting that with the sugar that I'm adding. Now you've got to whisk the sugar and the egg yolks together as soon as you combine them. Otherwise, the sugar's going to leach the water out of the egg yolks and you'll be left with little dried pieces of egg yolk. So to avoid that happening, just mix them together at the start until it's fully combined. Beautiful milk chocolate. This is what makes the flavour of the ice cream magic. Now you can use dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate, but you need to reduce the quantity by about 10%. We're going to boil the cream and milk, and then we're going to pour it into our egg yolks and sugar mixture. Mix it together, and then we're going to put that mixture back into the pan and we're going to heat it up to 80 degrees Celsius. You should use a thermometer for this. If you don't have a thermometer, I would recommend you use a wooden spoon. And to check when it is actually ready, dip the wooden spoon in the anglaise, pull it out and wipe a line across the spoon. If it runs over that line, it's not ready. As soon as it holds, that means it's ready, and you need to straight away, without hesitation, pour it over your chocolate to avoid it overcooking in the bottom of the pot. So you can see here we've got a little bit of cooked egg on the base, and that's exactly why we strain it, to avoid that cooked egg going into the ice cream. Now we whisk until all the chocolate is completely melted. Traditionally, you would leave this in the fridge for 24 hours. I apologise, I know it's a long time to wait, but if you want to, you can just wait until it cools down. It's best to cool it down on an ice bath before placing it into the fridge. So I have some ice here. I'm going to put a little bit of water in there, and then I'm going to sit the bowl on top and whisk it gently until it cools down enough to about 5 degrees, and then I'm going to cover it with cling wrap on the surface and place it in the fridge. You can get a freestanding ice cream machine, but the one I've got actually fits on to the KitchenAid. So I've got this piece here, and this just slides in. This is a frozen bowl, so it's best to place this in the freezer at least 24 hours before using it, and it fits on the different size KitchenAid machines. So lock the bowl into the base. We place this on, so just place it into the bowl. This always seems a bit tricky because it just sort of clicks on here, and then you turn it and it starts going, but this paddle doesn't actually click into anything. And this must be rotating when you add the ice cream mix, otherwise it's going to jam up. It's not all going to fit in. Our family really likes ice cream, so I made quite a large amount. So I'm just going to pour a bit in to start, which can be a little bit messy. Getting it everywhere. Actually, I might fit it all in. Look at that. Ensure that there's no wastage. Scraping it all into the machine. I'm not trying to brag because I have one and you may not, but like I said, you cannot make ice cream without an ice cream machine. So now I'm going to place this on a medium speed. Don't go on a high speed, and it's going to take about 20 minutes to churn. Don't let it go too far because it will continue to freeze the ice cream. We want the ice cream to be about -11. When we take it out, place it into a container and put it in the freezer. A little tip, place your container in the freezer before you start, so when you place your ice cream in, it doesn't change in consistency at all. The ice cream is ready to take out, which is super exciting because you've always got a taste test before you put it in a bowl, just for quality control. Now this does increase in volume by 30%, so keep that in mind when you're placing it in your ice cream machine. I've got a bowl that I've had in the freezer. Let's do the taste test first. I only have a little bit and I won't double dip. Oh, look at that, the texture of that's amazing. Okay, here we go. That is really good. And what you've got to keep in mind when you make ice cream yourself, it doesn't have all the preservatives in it that a commercial ice cream does, so you really should eat it within 3 or 4 days. Now, nothing beats homemade ice cream. Well, maybe a few things beat homemade ice cream, but how impressive is it when people come over to say, I actually just whipped up some ice cream myself? Just casually drop it into conversation. Now, this is absolutely divine and decadent, and you're going to have to hold yourself back from eating it before you place it back into the freezer. Now, it does need to go into the freezer now for a couple of hours before it's ready to scoop and serve. If you enjoyed that episode, you will love my channel. Subscribe today for even more tutorials on chocolate and baking. Best of all, it's free, so get on it.